Hey, it's Joe from SupplementClarity.com. Today, let's talk about nicotinamide riboside and whether it can help COVID-19 infection. You may have heard about this in press releases, and so turns out there is some research that I want to bring your attention. So we'll talk about the research and some things to consider about it. So to be sure, there are researchers speculating that whether or not low levels of NAD may predispose people to worsening of COVID infections and perhaps maybe boosting NAD levels through supplements like nicotinamide riboside may help these individuals. This is essentially one paper. It's essentially a hypothesis that puts forth the notion that maybe these supplements may help. But is there any real research where you gave nicotinamide riboside to people with COVID to see what happens? Well, yeah, kind of there is. So here's the study I'm talking about. So it goes right now by a couple titles. Combined metabolic cofactor supplementation accelerates recovery in mild to moderate COVID-19, or it's got another title as well, metabolic cofactor supplementation in COVID-19. This paper I'm presenting to you right now has not yet cleared peer review. Eventually it will, and when it does, it'll probably have a more formal title. But what I want to do here in this video is give you the lay of the land, what it was involved in the study, because this is showing up in some press releases that you may have heard about. So essentially, they've got 100 people with COVID infection from Istanbul. They split these people up into two groups. One group gets hydroxychloroquine and a placebo. Another group gets hydroxychloroquine plus a combination of supplements that they call in the study CMCS. And if you're wondering what those supplements are, here they are. So CMCS stands for Combined Metabolic Cofactor Supplementation. That's a big phrase. And essentially, it's a combination of these four ingredients. You've got 24.7 grams of L-serine, 5.1 grams of N-acetylcysteine. That's a very common glutathione boosting supplement. 7.46 grams of carnitine, and 2 grams of nicotinamide riboside. The study lasted for 2 weeks. And I also want to call your attention to the fact that they gave people this combination of supplements 2 times a day. So if you're doing the math in your head, that's a total of about 25 grams of L-serine, about 10 grams of NAC. We're looking at about 15 grams of L-carnitine and 4 grams of nicotinamide riboside. So what happened in this study? Well, here's essentially the results. Turned out that people who took only the hydroxychloroquine and a placebo, it took them about 9.3 days to recover from COVID infection, while those taking the hydroxychloroquine plus those supplements, they got out of the hospital a little faster. They recovered faster, about 6.6 days, which if you do the math, that comes to about a 30% faster recovery rate. You may have heard that statistic popping up. So it looks like hydroxychloroquine plus those supplements may accelerate the recovery of COVID by roughly 30%. When you looked at the liver enzymes of these individuals, they also, they're called AST and ALT. Both AST and ALT were lower after 2 weeks in the supplement group, while interestingly enough, only the AST enzyme was lower significantly in the hydroxychloroquine group. And that's what these little asterisks refer to, clinical significant differences. There was a significant drop in bad cholesterol in those getting the combination of hydroxychloroquine plus the supplements, including nicotinamide riboside, after 14 days. You didn't see that, however, in those who were only taking the drug alone. And interestingly enough, both treatments increased the triglyceride levels in these people, but it was not statistically significant. So really no big difference between them. Those are the major findings, but this is the one that appears to be making the rounds, as far as I can tell, that possibility that these supplements, nicotinamide riboside, serine, carnitine, etc., may actually speed recovery by about 30%. Okay, some things to know about this study. Number one, it was an open label study, which means the researchers knew who was getting which treatment. I would have liked it better if it was a blinded study where the researchers didn't know who was getting what. But again, that's something for a future study to take a look at. I did notice that there were unequal number of people in each of the groups. Matter of fact, There's about 3 times more people in those getting the supplements than those just getting the drug, the hydroxychloroquine drug. Again, the OCD guy in me would have liked it if there were even numbers of people, maybe 50 and 50. There's probably a statistical reason why they chose to load it up like they did. I'll leave a statistician to weigh in on that if they choose to. There was no supplement-only group. In other words, there was no group that only got the supplements. I kind of get why that is, because it's an untested therapy, and COVID-19 is really serious, and you don't really want to give an untested therapy to people who are really, really sick. Again, I get that. Maybe a future study might want to look at that. You should realize that 3 of the researchers of this study have filed a patent for the combination of supplements to treat COVID-19 infection. They're not the major researchers, but again, for full disclosure, you should be aware of that. Does it prevent COVID infection? In other words, if you took, serine and L-carnitine and nicotinamide riboside, etc., would you be less likely to get COVID infection? And the answer is we don't know that yet. So if you're thinking about taking this stuff prophylactically, there is no proof as of yet. And also realize it could get a little expensive, especially nicotinamide riboside. You're taking about 4 grams of this a day in that CMCS group. It was about 4 grams a day you're taking. That's more than is in the average supplement. I would have liked it better if they had dropped that dosage, but again, maybe something for future researchers to take a look at. And then what caused the improvements, we don't know. So there were 4 different supplements in the CMCS group. Nicotinamide riboside is one of them. What caused that maybe 30% faster recovery? Was it nicotinamide riboside? Was it NAC? NAC, which has been getting some attention as a possible treatment for preventing COVID. I've heard people talk about that. No official research, but people have mentioned this in the past. So we don't know what's caused those improvements, and so you should really go into eyes wide open if you're going to try this particular cocktail on your own. So there you have it. There's most likely going to be more research on nicotinamide riboside and COVID in the future, but this is the lay of the land as it is right now. If you got any questions, leave them below. I'm happy to help you out if I possibly can. If you want to subscribe to my newsletters, please do so. You can drop me an email at either joe-cannon.com or supplementclarity.com, and you'll get updates as I do more stuff in the future. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, I'm Joe Cannon. I'll talk to you later.